Hey guys, Barn Door here. Just thought I would make a little BG Blitz kind of strategies guide. Played a lot at the end of the season last season. Played a little bit, played a lot this season. We're coming up on the end of the first week, and I've kind of noticed that not everybody understands the strategies for every single map. Just to be clear, this guide is for anybody who maybe is looking to learn a little bit about strategies and kind of how to play every single kind of BG Blitz. Maybe somebody who's new, maybe somebody who's just trying to gain a little bit of CR, right, is stuck at somewhere and trying to level up a little bit. You want to get your 2100, you want to get your 1950, 1800 set, whatever it may be. This guy may not be for the rank 1 player. Maybe there's something they could still take out of it. But, like I said, I've played a little bit this season. As of right now, I'm number 1 Demon Hunter, right? It says Barn 2 because that's my Barn 2 is my PvP tune. Barn 1, I'm kind of PvE in this season as well. All right, so I'm rank 1 by a good amount on NA right now. So I can show you guys a little bit of my strategies that I've been using to at least kind of climb rating. First and foremost, I want to let you guys know one of the easiest ways to do it as a DPS is to duo with a good healer. Right, I'm just throw that out there from the start. Duoing with a good healer, for one, it's going to get you faster queue times. All right, so instead of waiting 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, right, just to get a queue pop by yourself, you're cutting that in half, if not better, right? So you're always going to get faster games when you're queuing with the healer. Some of the best healers to queue with right now are going to be Mistweavers and Prez Evokers. Wrestler Shamans are on the rise, and Holy Priests are on the rise as well. Holy Priests are pretty good right now. Any good healer will help, but those are just Mistweavers and Prez are going to be your best option if you have a choice for what healer you get to duo with. Now, again, not everybody gets to duo with a healer. Some people got to do it on their own, and let's say your team doesn't know the strategy, you're in the starting zone, you don't really know, or nobody's really saying anything. I want to go through just a quick little, at the start of every match, kind of what to call, how to break up your team for each RBG or each BG Blitz, so that way you at least have something. So if you're a new player, you can call them the Barn Door strats, you can call them whatever you want, but this is at least something that gives you a baseline to give you the most good chance of winning, right? So let me pull up some of these maps, right? We will start, let me pull these up right here. We'll start with Arathi Basin, right? Pull this up, put this in edit mode. Okay, guys, so Arathi Basin, it's a base node map, right? So let me see if I can go mark up the current meta. What you want to do right now is you want to send one healer, right? One healer and one DPS. All right, that's my little DPS symbol here. Over to Blacksmith. You also want to send the same thing, one healer and one DPS over to Lumber Mill. Now you want the Blacksmith to ideally be something like a priest and a warrior, priest and a DK, and you want the Lumber Mill to be something that maybe has a knock, right? Like a shaman, mage, or Mistweaver, right? Or hunter, right? Something that has a knock, something that's gonna be able to spin the 2v2, right? And then you want to send, of course, your base sitter, whether that be the hunter, right? Whether that be the ret, whether that be the rogue, whatever you're having sit. Let's just say on this side it's stables. You're going to send him here. Then you're going to send most of your DPS down to mines, right? So you're going to send roughly 3. However, one thing you want to do is as soon as your DPS here caps your back node, again, I'm saying this because it can work for both sides, you want him to come and help out this other team as well, right? So ideally you have 4 players down here, 2 players here and 2 players here. By the time this guy gets over here, this should cap over. This ideal thing is you need to make sure you are keeping track of the timers as well. So that way, if you're winning this fight or the mines fight is taking too long, somebody does need to peel back out and go back to recap the node ASAP. A couple caveats here, guys. If you see somebody from the other side just, running right at your base, obviously this guy's got to stay here and he's got to spin it. There's always going to be ways to float, but that's kind of the ideal strat. You want to send a healer DPS to blacksmith, a healer DPS to your lumber mill, and then all your DPS down here, and then have it be reinforced with the guy who caps your back node. The main DPS you want down here, of course, you want your Rets, you want your hybrid classes, your Demon Hunters, your Rogue, your Hunters, but really, it's BG Blitz. You're just going to kind of have to deal with whatever you have and try to make the best of it, right, when it comes to Arathi Basin. So that's just a starter strategy for Arathi Basin, right? We're going to go ahead and pull up Deepwind Ravine, right? So Deepwind Ravine, this is a little bit more of a team fight match, right? So really, you've got a couple things. Let me hit the markup right here. All right, you've got a couple things, right? You've got your nodes, you've got your crystal, right? And then you've got your carts. So what you're really going to want to do is you're going to want to send everybody. It's basically a big team fight clash in the middle. You want to win the team fight, right? Winning the team fight almost always guarantees that you're going to win Deepwind. Not always, but mostly. There's a couple things to do if you're not winning the team fight, but again, you want to prioritize it. Now, on close matchups, it's really going to be about getting back to the cart, right, as soon as it caps. And if you're not winning the team fight, you want to recap your cart, but you also want to try to get their cart. If you the best way to win this is to get 2 carts, right? You can cap crystal, you can try to do everything, but really the best way to win this is to try to get 2 carts. From the starting room, you really want to just say, hey, Rogue or Demon Hunter or Boomy or Hunter, right? One of your classes, hey, you go back to our node at the start, and then if you're winning the team fight in the middle, you send some extra guys. Let's say this is your side, right? So everybody comes in, you go to the team fight. Let's just say it's going normal, okay, right? Crystal doesn't get capped. You spin that. Make sure you're spinning the crystal, all right, which is the flag in the middle. And then let's say, okay, the carts go in, the cart caps, right? They get 1 cart cap, you get 1 cart cap. What you're going to want to do is you're going to send 1 class up through here, right, to make sure you get your node. And then you do want to try to send 1 class to try to get their node. Now, if they're smart, they'll be sitting a DPS like a rogue or hunter, just like you are back here. Sometimes you can send 2. The scenarios in which you would want to send 2 people is more on the lines of, let's say you're winning the team fight in middle and you have extra people. You're chain running the flag or you're chain running the crystal. Then you can definitely send some people. However, it is this guy's responsibility when he's back here after the cart gets capped to make sure if he sees somebody heading for him, then he needs to call it out. You need to peel off people from the team fight to come help this guy because you do not want to lose your cart. Like I said, the win condition on Deepwind Ravine has to do with getting 2 carts. Now, capping the crystal is really good if you're not going to be able to get their cart and all you can do is just try to hold your own. You want to try to get the crystal, yes, but overall, Deepwind Ravine is a real team fight match. It's not like Arathi Basin where you need to float between nodes and, they get farm, but we get stables and we'll get LM and we'll give them mines, but then we'll get these 3, right? It's a lot more of if your team can win the team fight, then, you typically will win the game. Big things to focus on this is to, out of the starting zone, make sure you pick really good kill targets on the enemy team. I'm talking marksmen, your marksman hunters, your rogues, and your destro locks need to die, right? When you're full team fight, a lot of people at lower rating, I've noticed, always, and this is on every map, always go and try to kill healers right from the start. And if you can land a kill on a healer early, it's huge. But the thing is most of the time you're not going to, right? So on a big team fight match, you need to pick a really good kill target, like let's say the Destro Lock if they have one, or a Fire Mage, right? You pick a really good kill target, you get 1 kill, maybe you get 2 kills, and then maybe you try to go for a healer kill. If you try to go for a healer kill from the start, it's typically not going to work, and you're going to die overextending as well. Unless their healer, of course, is up in your face, then he might be a good kill target. But overall, Deepwind Ravine, teamfight map, get both carts, gives you the best option to win, right? So that's kind of what you want to call from the starting zone area here. All right, next, Deepwind, right? So Deepwind Gorge, all right? So you're going to have, right, this map's a little weird, but I'm just going to circle here. So you're going to have 4 nodes here, right? So you're going to have Quarry, you're going to have Farm, you're going to have Shrine, you're going to have Ruins, sorry, 5 nodes, Ruins, and you're going to have BS. This is actually the old map. I couldn't, on Wowhead, I couldn't find a new updated map, but it looks the same, right? So let's say that we're Horde starting out, right? So the best starting strategy that you want to do here is you want to be able to send 1 healer, right? It's typically like a priest and a warlock, or a priest and a warrior, right? 1 healer, 1 DPS mid, right? To blacksmith to spin, right? The goal is to just spin this node. You want to send, right? You want to send typically 3 up top, and you want to send the healer up top with them as well. Again, you actually want to make sure you match healer for healer. That's a big thing in not just this RBG, but a lot of RBGs or BG Blitz. If they send a healer top, you want to send your healer top. If they send a healer bottom, you send your healer bottom. If they send one top and you send one bottom, it could work if the tempo is working out in your favor and maybe you're getting BS and you're getting 3 nodes and they're only getting 2. However, if you're down in tempo after the first cap, you need to adjust. That's a big thing that high-rated players do as opposed to low-rated players, is they adjust if their game is losing. If you get 3 capped on in the first rotation, and or even you get 4 capped, you have to adjust. You have to send a healer somewhere, right? So I'm just going to pick a comp, right? Let's just say, okay, we're going to send 1 DPS here up to Quarry, right? We're going to send the Rep Paladin, right? And then we're going to send, right, a healer and DPS over to Farm to spin. Now, this Rep Paladin, he needs to defend in case the enemy team is sending anybody, right, kind of just like we are. He needs to be able to defend this base. Your goal is to take this healer and this DPS, right, against, typically they will match a healer and a DPS here. And again, just like BS, you want to spin. And then you've got your Rep Paladin who, and this is really important, guys, your DPS who's here, right, just like could be your DPS who's here, when you get your 1 base, which is typically uncontested, as soon as that base caps over, you want to float to help your team. So that way you have a chance at getting this node. However, again, you're going into a 2v2 healer DPS spinning. You go, you help, but you watch the timer to make sure that when somebody needs to go back to cap your node, you go cap your node. And again, as far as bot, the same thing goes, right, with 3 DPS, right? You're going to send your DPS here, and let's say, okay, you got 3 DPS bot, you don't have any healers, same thing with them. You're going to send your 1 DPS here, and you're going to send your 2 DPS, right, right here, and you're going to try to spin Shrine. And this DPS, really, it's important for this DPS to, even more so than the one at Quarry, to play with your double DPS, so that way, you know, you're in a 2v3 situation, because this guy, if he's not being attacked, then you're already 2v3 down, because they're going to have 3 DPS here. So this is really the crux of where you win or lose Deepwind Gorge. If your 3v3 is winning, you probably win the game. If your 3v3, DPS versus DPS is losing, you probably lose the game. So this is, again, a time where it's very important. If you are losing bot side, if you're getting triple capped, quad capped, you need to try to rotate somebody, right? You need to change the tempo of the game. Maybe this guy rotates down, right? And then you have a healer rotate back, and then these guys just contest here. I know this is marked up a little bit. Again, I'm doing this in paint, so forgive me a little bit. But Deepwind Gorge, healer, 2 DPS up top, 3 DPS down bottom. Typically, you want these to be your hybrid classes at bottom, because they're not going to have a healer. And then a DPS healer mid. That's your base strategy that you want to call starting out, right? And a little bit of just guidance throughout the game. So, next up, we have a really fun one, Eye of the Storm. Actually, one of my favorite maps, right? So, all right, I'm gonna mark the bases here, right? We're gonna call this DR, and we're gonna call this FR. Draenei Ruins, Fel Reaver, right? And then BE, Blood Elf Tower, and Mage Tower. So again, forgive my handwriting, guys. Okay, let's say we're Horde, right? You're gonna want to send 1 base sitter, 1 typically DPS. Let's say, again, your best base sitters, I might have already said this, but your best base sitters by far is going to be the Ret Paladin. If it's not the Ret Paladin, you want it to be something like a Rogue, something like a Hunter. Warlock can work. Mage, a Frost Mage is really good, especially Frost Mage with Ice Wall. Being able to do it correctly is really good. And then you're going to want to send, of course, from the start, 7 DPS mid. Again, a team fight match, much like Deepwind Ravine. If you win this team fight, you're gonna if you win this team fight, you actually have a less percentage chance of winning than you do on winning the team fight of Deepwind Ravine, but it is still really positive. So you get the flag. I'm gonna give you 2 scenarios. One scenario in which you get the flag. One scenario in which the enemy team gets the flag. Okay, the first scenario, you get the flag. Well, what's going to happen is you're going to run the flag back here, right? And then you are going to sit your DPS, right? And your healers kind of set up like this, right? You want to kind of team fight way in front. You do want to have somebody kind of watching. Now, the first thing you do when you're holding the flag is you don't cap it. I'm gonna give you 2 numbers here, I'm gonna give you 1 number here. 1325. Right? This is your magic number, guys. This is your magic number. What this number is if you get to 1325 for the score, and you have the flag, as long as you cap it after it ticks over 1325, you instantly win the game. Now, Eye of the Storm for BG Blitz is not played like traditional Eye of the Storm on an RBG. The reason is there's only 2 active nodes at a time from the start, right? It's FR and DR. So, what happens when you cap the flag is FR becomes inactive, DR becomes inactive, and then the nodes swap. There are times where it's useful to cap the flag, but most BG Blitz games, you really only ever cap once. So there's, again, you want to, let's say the first scenario, you get the flag, you hold them off, you do everything you can, right? You make sure that, your flag's going to live, the stacks are going to get big, right? And again, there's kind of two strategies. There's one in which you cap it early, right? So the stacks don't get big, and then the other one is where you try to hold it the whole game. Both are valid strategies. Both have decent win percentages. It really just depends on your team. But as far as low rated goes, it's really hard to coordinate your team to be able to respond capping the flag at a perfect time. The only way to do it is if they push in and you wipe them and both healers are dead on the enemy team, that's a good time to cap it. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to say your best strategy is possibly just holding the flag over here, right? Unless you have somebody really intelligent on your team that can coordinate and, they push in, you get a wipe, and you're already ready to respond. Otherwise for, learning and low rated, you want to try to just hold the flag until you get 1325. Then you cap it, then you win the game. Now that's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, in which the enemy team gets the flag, right? There's kind of only one way to do this. What you need to do is this. It's near impossible to go, kill this guy, and then run the flag all the way back across to your team, especially with stacks. You're almost never going to be able to live running the flag all the way back after taking it from their base. So here's your win con. You want to have somebody like with really good movement, a demon hunter, an outlaw, a rogue, a mage, somebody who can get away from people, especially very quickly. And you want to kill the flag carrier. It's actually very easy to kill flag carriers, which is why you want to have a very mobile class, or you want to kind of, you see how I put like the healers right here? Let's say that this guy was carrying the flag. You want to carry the flag right next to your team's graveyard, by the way. So that way you get insta-reses, at least from the start. And if you die, you drop the flag, your team can instantly swap on that guy and kill him. Right? Let's say you're at FR and you're holding the flag and they get a kill on your flag carrier. The rest of your team should immediately jump on whoever has the flag, right? Because, like I said, it's going to be impossible to run the flag all the way across the map. So, really, if you get it to your side, you're going to be able to hold it on your side. But back to what I was saying, the scenario in which the enemy team got the flag, you want to have your high movement class, like let's say you're a demon hunter, like me, right? You kill the flag carrier. The best thing to do once you kill the flag carrier is to have your demon hunter pick up the flag, meta, backflip, and just get off the map. Jump off the map, whether that means he goes off here or whether he goes off here. What that does is that resets the flag, so that way you're back in the team fight and your team has another chance. Now, when your demon hunter or your rogue or whoever does this resets the flag, that's a red flag to half your team, to CC, and slow. Don't let anybody get to mid, and some of your other team to get to mid and to try to get the flag. But that's kind of what you want to do if the enemy team gets the flag, and that's kind of what you want to do if your team gets the flag. Just remember, magic number 1325. Okay, so that's your basic Eye of the Storm strategy. Let's go for a Gilneas, right? So Gilneas is decently simple, right? You basically gonna send, your 7-man team fight here to the central node, right, over to Waterworks. Let's just say we're Alliance for this one, right? Let's say we're Alliance. You're going to want to send 1 DPS to sit the base. Again, Rep Paladins, Rogues, Hunters, Frost Mages are going to be your best base sitters. Now, of this 7, you're going to want to have at least one DPS who is designated to be the floater. Usually that is a demon hunter, a druid, outlaw rogue, or somebody that can get back really quick. Now, from the start, when you're first committing, it's very important that whoever this floater is eyeballing the enemy team as they're running to base to make sure, okay, how many of the enemy players are headed towards the team fight. If I'm sitting right here, again, I typically stop right here, but anywhere around here is fine. But if I'm sitting around here, I see the team fight go, they get engaged, but I see that the rogue is not there. One thing, you also want to pay attention to who caps the enemy base, right? Let's say it's a hunter who caps the enemy base, or it's a ret. You can see the ret. All right, let's say it's a hunter that caps the enemy base, so you know he's probably the one sitting mines. However, the rogue isn't in team fight. Immediately before committing to the team fight, because you don't want to give the enemy team a chance to slow you, you need to float back. Now, this also goes for if they send multiple people, right, to your base. If I'm sitting right here and I see that rogue and mage are both out of the team fight and possibly headed towards my base, I'm going to call, we need a healer or we need another DPS. The goal is for you to float back and to be able to 2v2 or 3v3. You never want to be able to kind of bet on winning a 2v3. If they are sending 3 players, you just assume that you need 3 players to defend it. Again, if let's say they're sending something like a rogue mage. Now, this happened in one of my other BGs the other day where I knew that they were going to send a rogue mage over to Lighthouse. And I knew that myself and the hunter that was sitting the base were not going to win the 2v2 against this rogue mage. So I called in the starting zone, hey, if they send rogue mage over here, we are going to need 3 players to defend this. So Gilneas, entry level, you sit 1 DPS here, you send 7 here, right, for the team fight, another team fight map, but you make sure somebody is there to float. The same thing for mines, right? You send 7 here, you keep 1 DPS right here until you see that they're committed, and if they're all committed to the team fight, you 7-man team fight. If they're not all committed, then you need to make sure you have somebody float. Once you get 2 bases, let's say you have waterworks and you have mines. Once you get 2 bases, this DPS needs to permanently sit in between here. This DPS needs to permanently sit probably about right here or around here, because they're always going to try to hit because they're not winning waterworks. You just got 2 bases, or you need to go back up waterworks because you're losing the team fight. That is kind of the strategy behind Gilneas there. Okay, let's pull up Silvershard Mines here. Again, this video might be a little bit longer because we're going through every single map. I'm going to try to see if my guy that edits the videos can condense it a little bit, but this is just more, just a strategy guide for everything here, right? So we're going to say that we're Horde here, right? You've got your lava, you've got your lava cart, you've got your water cart, right? And you got your, I guess, earth cart, I think. Everybody always refers to this as lava, middle, and top. When you're talking in BG Blitz, lava, middle, and top. That's what they call it. So, ideally, you want to send 3 players to play your off carts. And you want them to be your hybrid specs. Your best bet for your 3 players that are, and they're all going to be kind of DPS that are playing the off carts here, is you want something like a DH, Ret, and Rogue. or DH Shadow Priest and Rogue, or something like a Rogue Hunter Boomy, right? Again, if you have an Enhance on your team, Enhance is very good off cards, right? Enhance, Demon Hunter, Rogue, right? If you have an Asa Rogue, you want the Asa Rogue in the team fight. However, again, there's just different scenarios. I don't have enough time to go through everything here. But your typical off-cart team is going to be something like, let's call it Demon Hunter, Ret, and Rogue. So you're going to have your team fight here. You're going to have your 2 healers. You're going to have your DPS here. Very important, if the enemy team does something weird to where they send like a healer and 2 DPS at your off nodes, you need to respond to it. You can't just keep the same comp here and here, right? You need to see, okay, I'm going to rotate one of these DPS back into team fight, and I'm going to rotate one of these healers out, so that way we're matching. You really want to match numbers. The way you win Silvershard is, ideally you win the team fights everywhere, but really it's about out-rotating the enemy team. Right, it's really about out-rotating the enemy team. If you are winning every single lava, you can get away with not winning the off carts as long as you cap every single lava, but manage to cap 2 off carts. Now, if you're not winning every single lava, you need to make sure that you focus on getting your off carts. When you start on the alliance side, your team, which is going to be the 3 DPS, the route that you want to take is typically going to be, you go up top here, you jump in the node for a second so that way it caps over, then you come the top way here and kind of, we call it Batmaning down. You Batman down to your team, right? And hopefully you're going to win the 3v3. Now, from the starting room, again, you want to call 3 DPS, your hybrid specs, kind of, your mobile classes, to the off carts that are going to be playing both of these top and middle off carts, and then the main team fight here. If you are not winning the team fight, guys, if you are not winning the team fight, you have to change up the tempo. That means sending a 4th player off carts. Because you can give up every single lava, but get every single other off-cart cap and win the game, right? Or you can get them to rotate, but really it's going to be about out-rotating the enemy team. Silvershard is a team fight / rotation type map, guys. So that's kind of the starting strategy for that. Now, I'm going to do Twin Peaks and Warsong Gulch kind of together because they're both flag carry maps, right? So I'm going to kind of lump these together because they're very similar. Now, you want to have an offense and a defensive team. Now, your offensive team, I'm going to say that we're Horde here, right? And their alliance. Now, your offensive team is always going to be running at the enemy flag carrier, right? Your offensive team is typically going to consist of 1 healer and 2 to 3 DPS. Your defensive team, right, is going to be your 1 healer, which will usually be the flag carrier, unless you have a tank lobby. I'm not really including it, but like if you got a Guardian Druid, they're decent tanks, but typically you don't want to have tanks flag carry. You want to have a healer flag carry. If you have a Preservation Evoker or a Monk, those should be your go-to flag carriers. So, on defense, you're typically going to want your classes that play defense to be your Warlocks, your Warriors, or your Unholy DKs. Now, Frost DKs are really good on offense, especially if they're running the big pillar build. However, DKs I've seen played both offensive and defense, but Warrior is really good on defense for the intervene. Mage, especially Frost Mage, is really good on defense for Ice Wall, really good for the slows. However, if it's an Arcane Mage, I would send the Arcane Mage on offense because their damage is really big right now. They've got a lot of movement. They can connect to the flag carrier. So let's say you have a Mistweaver carrying your flag, then you're going to want to have something like the Warlock and Warrior playing defense, right? Again, your offensive team, it's going to fluctuate. At some point, it could be 5 players, it could be 4 players. You're almost always going to want to have a healer because it's so hard to stay alive as a flag carrier. It's not worth trying to turtle. I'm going to say this one more time because this is something that I really want players who are learning and players to climb to hear and understand this. Unless you are in the final, let's say, 2 minutes, right? Let's say your final 2 minutes of the game, do not turtle. And when I say turtle, I mean try to play like 7 players on defense, right? Because, I mean, if you're in the final, let's say your final 60 seconds of the game and you're going to win the game, you're up 1 cap and they're running, yes, you can play some defense, you can turtle, right? However, it's really easy to kill flag carriers right now. The burst is really high, and I've seen flag carriers get soloed by, in the middle of the map, by 1 Arcane Mage right now, or a Marksman, right? Or a Sub-Rogue. So your offense is going to be almost more important than your defense right now. So starting out from the starting room of, let's say, Twin Peaks, or so that's going to be kind of part 1 of your flag carry maps. Let's go into part 2, right? So part 2 is initially out of the gate. Out of the gate, you're going to want a team fight in the center, right? You're going to want a team fight in the center. However, during this team fight, if you have a rogue on your team, now this is a big if you have a rogue or a boomy, you're going to want the rogue or the boomy to stealth in and pick up the flag for your healer, right? You know, let's say you have a Mistweaver or Prez and they're able to carry the flag. Well, you will lose this team fight if you go for the team fight and then the healer tries to peel out and go for it. The enemy team's going to turn on him. He's going to die. He's not going to be able to get away. And even if he does get away somehow, maybe with help from your defensive team, the rest of your team's going to die to the team fight anyways. So you want the rogue or the boomy, even sometimes the demon hunter, to go pick for you and then run the flag out. By this time, you hopefully should have wiped the enemy team, or you're still team fighting. Your entire team at this point, for the most part, other than maybe 1 to 2 players, but you need to full at least 6-player escort across the map. Now, if you win the team fight, typically you will either win or lose the team fight. By this point, you can try to go for a pass from your rogue to your healer, and then healer runs back, right, and turtles, right? You know, sits on the 3rd floor and plays with his defensive team to try to hold on until your offensive team can get a kill. Again, just to reiterate, flag carriers die super easy in flag maps right now. You need to play offense. I can't scream it enough. You need to play offense. And I'm not saying everybody on your team plays offense. Now, if you commit way too many people on offense, your flag carrier is not going to be able to stay alive long enough for you to get a kill on him, on the enemy flag carrier. So you still need to have your flag carrier plus your warlock, plus your warrior, and then maybe even a third, like a hunter or something, playing defense. If you have 2 rogues, like a subtlety and an ass rogue, you want to have your subtlety rogue playing offense and your ass rogue playing defense. Again, rogues are really good to go pick for your flag carrier very quickly. All right. So, overall, guys, log back in here. Overall, guys, that is just a, I try to keep it as short as I can. BG Blitz strategies, right? Like I said, I am currently by far the top rated demon hunter in North America. This is something that I've used, right? The strategies when I go into my games, so that way we at least have a chance at winning. Again, you can do all these things perfect and still lose the game. Right? I've seen good teams, I've seen bad teams. One thing to note when it comes to pushing rating in BG Blitz is the rating swings are very high and very low. And by that, I mean you can in 5 games you could go up 200, 300, 400 MMR, or in 5 games you could tank down 500 MMR plus, right? So don't get discouraged when you go on a loss streak and you were 21, 22, 2500 and now you're 1800, right? The best thing to do is just queue it back up, right? The best thing to do is just the more games you get, the better chance you have. If you're struggling to get 1800, again, queue it up, right? Don't give up. Keep pressing Q. Try to learn some of these strategies. Try to learn what works, what doesn't work. And then also, if you can, try to find a healer duo for faster queues. A Mistweaver, Prez are the best ones that you're going to be able to find. But, any healer will help you get faster queues. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. This video is more of a guide for the beginner player trying to get into BG Blitz, trying to understand some of the basic strategies. What do I call? Nobody's talking in the beginning of my match. What do I say? Where do we go? Just to give you guys a chance. Go ahead and follow me on Twitch, guys. Twitch.tv/Barndoor, 2 O's and 2 R's. I'll probably be live by the time this video goes live on YouTube, so feel free to jump in, check it out. I try to stream BG Blitz every night if I can. Don't always, but I try to. Other than that, guys, have a good one.